All right, it's Saturday. That means it's half hour horror with me, Aaron McLean, and my host as usual. Oh, hey, it's Chase. What's going on, man?
Good. How are you doing, Aaron? I'm very excited for today. We got an awesome topic, an awesome guest lined up. So yeah, let's do
Oh
it.
yeah, and with us today we have one special guest, and we got another one coming. But it's Patrick Mediate, my co-writer, friend, partner in crime.
We do it
Patrick
all.
Mediate.
I
What's
was
happening,
kind of
buddy?
doing the setup to the episode, like with the but yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man. And today we are talking robo horror. Yeah, robot horror. Robot horror is like ages old. It's amazing. One of the first places I like to start with history. I'm a history buff, armchair historian. The first time the word robot was ever mentioned was in a Czech play called Rossum's Universal Robots, a play that I have been in high school. Our high school put this play on, and this is the play where the term robot comes, Rossum's Universal Robot. And surprisingly enough, it's a very socialist play. It's about, hey, if you create automatons at some point, they're going to be like, hey, we don't like being slaves, and they're going to rise up and take over. And that's what this play is about a robot revolution at a factory. It's pretty hilarious. It's pretty awesome. At one point, they dissect a robot on stage, and he's like, I don't like dying that. But it's super crazy because it's like automatons. It's like, are they humans? Are they robots? We don't know what's going on, but it's a pretty amazing setup. All takes place inside the factory as they revolt and take over. But it was really fun to be in and really fun to be a part of. But this is the first time the word robot ever comes into the lexicon. From a Czech word, robota. And of course, that brings us into the world of robot horror. As early as the 1920s, 1927, we get our first robot on screen. It is a movie called Metropolis, Fritz Lang's masterpiece. Not really a horror film, but again, about the uprising of the people. It's pretty incredible. I think most people have seen this movie. If you haven't, you should. Metropolis is a goddamn classic. What about you guys? Have you seen Metropolis? Has this been? I mean, this was a film school thing. We had to watch this, right, Pat?
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it was like a rite of passage for us at Emerson, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those movies. It's one of those top 10 kind of you got to watch this kind of movies.
It's a silent film, but it's about robots and about robot uprisings. And who knows more about robots than our super special guest, Scream Queen extraordinaire? It's Kelli Maroney.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Woo! We're just getting started. And I was just mentioning the first time you ever heard the word robot is in a play called Rossum's Universal Robot, which I got to be in. And today we're talking robot horror and, Fritz Lang's Metropolis being one of the ones you can't start without talking about that. But we're so happy to have you here because you've battled some robots in your career.
Yes, I have 3.
3 robots. We're going to get into making a beautiful list of the best robot horror movies ever,
Cool.
and all sorts of stuff. But since we have you here, when you first started in the industry, when you were growing up, did you like horror before you were cast in horror movies, or did you come to the genre as you started making the movies?
I liked when I was a little girl. On the local stations, we used to have horror on. I think it was Sunday afternoon, and they would play the old ones like Frankenstein and Dracula, the black and white ones, and I loved that. And then my mom wasn't paying attention to what I was watching, and I watched The Birds when I was like way too young to watch The Birds. And I said, "What did you let me watch that for?" Right, the pecking on the head thing, and and Psycho and all that. But then, as an actor, I wasn't thinking I can't wait to do horror movies. That was I wanted, and then but actually that's not true because like my biggest heroes were like I want to be like Betty Davis and she's a horror hag. So I guess it was subconscious even when it wasn't,
Yeah. That's amazing. And of course, I mean, one of the quintessential ones that we will get to, obviously, Chopping Mall being just one of the best robot horror films of all time. Just camp connoisseurs love this movie. I love this movie, and of course, Night of the Comet, which is just a phenomenal sci-fi classic, just like quintessential '80s
Thank
horror. You know, we love what you've done and love
you.
what you do. So we're just honored to have you here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here too.
So let's dive into some robot horror. Like I said, we were starting real early with Metropolis. But Pat and Chase, are there any robot movies that you guys are going to put on the list today?
Is that good or bad?
Chase, why don't you go first?
You know what? We'll start with one that's real hot right now and one that's getting a sequel here in the next couple of weeks. Megan.
M3gan, as I mispronounce it every day. What a treat this was. I did not have high hopes for this because I was like, what's this weird robot girl? But then watching it, you're like, this is awesome and campy and fun and creepy. So good. Kelly, did you see this one?
I loved it. Yeah, I mean, it was the way it was done, though. I mean, everybody, she kind of sometimes had more. She was more present than anybody else. You know, they set it up that her mother was a certain way, and so it was a really nice juxtaposition, and it made sense. It wasn't just a way to get the robot in there. It all made sense the way they set it up, like why that would happen, and you know,
the jealousy, the protection, you know, the programming. Something we deal with often in robot movies is like, when does a robot become self-aware? The idea of the singularity of a robot being aware of itself and aware of its surroundings. Westworld deals with this. 2001 deals with this. But Megan just did it in a great way as a protector and an ultimate protector. Like, I need to protect this girl at all costs. And normally the robots are like, we got to get rid of the humans. This one was like, I need to protect the human. And I thought it was a very brilliant touch. It was funny.
Wasn't Hal originally supposed to, in the beginning, wasn't he supposed to be looking after Dave?
Yeah. But
yeah. Well, the Killbots were supposed to be our security.
Right? Exactly.
Something happens and they either become sentient or something goes weird in there. I mean, are they going rogue because they want to, or is it because there's a faulty? You don't really know.
They get hit by lightning. You know what makes them switch over? I think Megan did a brilliant job. There was a earlier, but it was a reboot remake that was in the same vein, and it's one of those things where I think Megan did it right, and I think Child's Play 2019 kind of missed the mark. If they had called this Killer Robot movie, I would have been like, okay, the fact that they're trying to marry it to one of the most iconic franchises to ever exist, and one of my favorites, and Chase, I know you love this movie too, but Megan and Chucky, they had this great feud online with like their social media. They were all fighting with each other. But this Child's Play, as a Chucky movie, was kind of a miss for me. As a Killer Robot movie, not bad. I mean, you have the voice of Luke Skywalker doing the voice himself, but I Mark Hamill, and there's parts of this that I really did enjoy, but I kept having to get past that you were trying to sell me Chucky, and but it's funny because like this and Megan have so much in common, and Megan stuck the landing, whereas Child's Play 2019 remake was still kind of a miss on my mark.
That's an interesting. That's definitely an interesting observation, Aaron, about the kind of sequel, right? Because Child's Play was such an iconic remake, not sequel, but remake of an iconic film, right?
Yep.
It's interesting to think about what do we owe, right? And this is a deeper conversation I think we can get into maybe later in the episode. What do we owe the original in the remake of it, right? What do we owe those legacy fan bases when you choose to do something like Child's Play did and really put it out there under the same name, under the same sort of concept? What do you owe those legacy fans? Because that's where I think you felt most most dagger in the heart, right? When you were watching it, was this is a little too far a departure from the original concept, the possession concept of the original Child's Play films, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think what the biggest issue with the Child's Play remake, for me, again, Aaron, you nailed it right on the head. As a killer robot movie, fantastic. As a Chucky film, I think really what the biggest issue was that the Child's Play Chucky franchise wasn't long dormant. Say like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when they remade that in 2003.
It was still going,
They had like 2 years prior had just done the Cult of Chucky, and they were actually, while they were filming this, they were in the stages of making what would end up becoming the Sci-Fi Channel Chucky series. So that was the thing. I think a lot of fans were kind of hurt, like a little bit worried that the Child's Play remake would kind of confuse a lot of general audiences and thinking like, oh, it's, why is now he a killer robot? And then a couple of years later down the line, oh, why is he a possessed doll possessed by the spirit of a serial killer again? But I mean, I don't think I think it wasn't really that successful at the box office. I don't think it made kind of the impact that they thought the Child's Play remake would. So I think at the end of the day, it was still kind of a win for the Don Mancini Chucky franchise.
Big time.
But as an AI, but again, I agree with you. As an AI killer robot movie, if you just kind of clear your mind, say, okay, this is not a Chucky film, this is an AI killer robot toy film. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
There's an interesting.
What's your responsibility, Aaron? Like I agree with you. You'll probably maybe say the same thing. What's your responsibility as a someone who's taking a franchise and the rights in the name to a franchise to do right by what it is instead of just calling it X? It's calling it Megan, right?
It's a cash grab. I think at the end of the day, you have IP and you're trying to get it out before the IP gets another iteration. There's a thing about this though. It's like, what is causing the robot to malfunction? And in the Child's Play reboot, it was a programmer who was angry and he deleted a line of code. In Megan, it was again it's the robot's interpretation of its job, of its rules, of what are your core mandates. This happens in RoboCop. It is at the end of the day not malicious.
No.
Megan isn't doing it because she's bad. The killbots aren't doing it because they're bad. They're just doing their job as they understand it. Chucky is, even though his line of code is deleted, is just trying to do his prime directive. And I think this is a weird thing about robots, right?
That's what makes them scary, I think. I can't do that, Dave. That's what makes them scary. Because and do they have feelings, or are they just committed to what they're doing? Are there some feelings behind there somewhere, or no?
There's a movie that addresses that. Companion addresses the feelings.
Exactly.
And I love that movie for that very reason, where it's like early on the robots didn't have feelings. They didn't feel pain. They didn't feel anything. And it's not until we get to nearly Blade Runner where it's like, oh, I feel things. I have opinions. I have emotions. That connection, that bridge between humans. Companion really nailed it.
Am I real or am I? Am I real or am I electric sheep?
The robots that dream of electric sheep.
Right.
That's what I was going to put on my list, by the way, Aaron. That's that was my really top in recent memory in the last few years. I think Companion really just was such a great movie going experience. Crushed it. Great robot film, but it definitely turns it upside on its head in a lot of ways. And there are other films that handled this the same way. I think maybe Ex Machina, but not in this way, right? Where we think, the audience thinks the robot is not a robot. We just think it's a human woman, and and the sort of relationship angst that goes on between those two main characters, and then the reveal of, wait a second, I'm actually not a human. I'm a robot, and the actual robot having to grapple with the fact that she finds out that she is a robot, right? And then taking the anger of, what's happened to her and what's transpired to her and what's been done to her, and learning to use her robot ways, right? And channel her and herself and say, hey, this is an asset. This isn't a detriment. How can I use this to seek my revenge and really to get like, further my anger for this person, right?
There's a line in that movie that blows me away, and it's the only real woman in the movie. She says, I know what I am. I'm arm candy. I show up, I hang out with this guy, I look good around him, he pays my way, takes me on vacations and whatnot. I know what I am. Do you know what you are? And this is before we realize that she's a robot, and you realize that the only actual female in the film who isn't a robot, who's a living human, says that. And it's like, that's the crux of the film. It's very powerful and had a lot to say about like roles and what's happening. That movie blew me away. And my wife and I like spent a long time afterwards, more than like a lot of movies that we watch, of like, what is this all about? What is going on?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And just like the deeper symbolism of the whole film and just is really profound and really smart, and really transcends that typical robot horror narrative,
Kelli, do you have any robot films, either from your career or that you've watched, that you think should belong on a robot list? We're definitely getting a chopping mall, so don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it. I have a whole list right here.
Ooh.
Yeah, and there's one, I can't think of the name of it, but there's a robot in a spaceship, and she's raising a girl.
Ooh, Android Mother.
Is it Android Mother? Is that the name of it?
Or is it maybe just Mother?
I think it's Mother.
Mother.
But then I got confused with the Jennifer Lawrence thing, because that was Mother too.
Yeah.
But
I Am Mother.
I Am Mother. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then, oh gosh, the one that I wish I could remember titles of anything. There's one that I really thought the ending was just stuck so hard. Oh gosh, they've got this robot, and then can I even say the end, because I'm going to blow it if people haven't seen it and they want to see it.
We'll say spoiler alert, and everybody will.
Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen this movie that I can't think of the name of. At the end, I mean, it's kind of sinister and all that, because you see that the man is getting old, and then you see the robot, and actually the robot is screwed in the end, because the robot's sitting there by herself.
Oh, it's where they get the robot companion for the old man, and then
right.
Yes. Oh,
it's all sinister, but then at the end, it's the robot that's sad. That's a sad thing, is that they have no reason to be there. And they're not going to get old. They're not going to die, but they're done, nothing to do.
Right.
I love that filmmaker too.
What is that one called? I think it's called. I know this movie because my dad watched it too. We're gonna figure it out. I Am Mother is a really cool one. The robot looks awesome in this. This is great robot design. It kind of reminds me of like the Chappies and stuff, but like very much in that Boston Dynamics real world robots. We lost your camera there, Kelli. I don't know if your camera's still there or not. We can hear you.
I thought maybe you turned it off.
I didn't turn you off. I wouldn't do that to you. There you are.
Did I do that?
There you are.
There she is. Sometimes the blur just eats you. It's scary. So.
But I love robot design. Like even a clunky robot with dryer hoses for arms. Like I'm here for it. Like 50s robots, 80s robots. I mean, the most famous robot that has been in the most movies is a robot named Robbie. He was first. He was first in a film called Forbidden Planet, and it's one of my favorite films. It's not really a horror movie in its own right, and the robot isn't necessarily the bad guy, but Robbie the robot is so famous. There he is. Everybody's seen him. I mean, he's in the movie Gremlins. He's one of the most reused props in the history of cinema, and a phenomenal robot.
That poster is so just iconic. Every time I see that, I just think of like a poster on someone's wall, because it's on tons of like college dorm walls all over the place. Yeah. And nobody really knows it. Maybe nobody's even seen the movie. It's just the iconic image of Robbie is just so burned.
Kelly, in all your travels to different conventions, sci-fi and horror conventions, have you run into a Robbie the Robot?
I have not.
Okay, Greg Nicotero owns one, like a remake of it, and I got to. It's like a statue for your house, but I was like, it was so cool just to see all the clickety click 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 in his head. I was like, that's nifty.
Oh, it works. It's functional.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
wow.
think it doesn't move around, but his head goes and it spins, and he's got all the clicky bits in his head.
Oh, neat.
Really, really cool set piece. But yeah, there's probably like 4 of the robots built, and the originals are all in museums. I think there's one in the LA Museum of Motion Picture Sciences, if you guys are out that way.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What else should we talk about? Chase, you got another one?
I do. 2021's Willy's Wonderland with
Oh,
Nicolas
heck yeah.
Cage.
Oh, that's a out of left field one, because you don't think, for some reason I didn't make the connection between the animatronics and like robots, but I guess they are robots, right?
They were
Yes.
beating Five Nights at Freddy's to the punch, and doing a decent job. It is super low budget, but like the heart, man, when that's the thing. And Kelly, you can attest. A movie doesn't have to have a big budget if it has a big heart.
That's right.
You can pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I love this movie. You got a silent Nick Cage.
Not a line of dialogue.
I live for those rants. Come on.
Right?
As if Nick Cage isn't like just enough without all that caffeine of like.
I remember hearing that he wasn't going to rant, and I thought, how's that going to work?
He's a pinball obsessed cleaning maniac. He gets locked into a Chuck E. Cheese. For all intents and purposes, it's a Chuck E. Cheese. He gets locked inside. They call it Willy's Wonderland. There's a pinball machine. He's supposed to clean the place up so he can pay for the ticket for his speeding ticket so he can get out of town. And while he's in there, the robots come alive, start killing people. He keeps taking breaks to play pinball and clean the floors and pound sodas. And the robots try to kill him. And some people try to break in to burn the place down. And they get killed by the robots. The only thing that this thing needs a little more of is a little more like on the gore, and it would have been like an A+ 100% for me. But it delivered on so many levels.
It's so silly. One of my favorite scenes of this movie is him and one of the girls that broke in are getting ready to fight this animatronic. His watch goes off, which signals it's time for his break. So he just hands her a blade and walks off to go play pinball.
That's brilliant, because he's doing what they usually have the robot doing, which is, I have an objective. I'm going to make the money and get out of here. Whatever else is going on in second.
That's a great point.
It's hilarious. I mean,
he is the robot in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really, I never thought of that. That's a great, a really great observation, that they kind of, that he, in a way, with his strength and who he is kind of superhuman.
Yeah.
Since we're so close to the adjacent of what that movie was, Five Nights at Freddy came out 2023 based on the insanely popular video game. The movie was a lot of fun. The movie, of course, has some Matthew Lillard, Josh Hutcherson in it. It delivered on everything it promised. I think my generation was like, I don't get it. And the kids are like, you didn't play the 100 hours of video games to understand it? I'm like, no. So I went to YouTube and I was like, explain to me Five Nights at Freddy's. And the first thing that pops up is like 8 hours of Five Nights of FNAF lore. And I was like, 8 hours? So I started and I watched 8 hours of Five Nights at Freddy lore. And
wow.
It's unbelievable what they've put into this and the mystery that they've laid out and the lore and the threads. The movie didn't even touch on like an inch of it, and it still was very popular. Here's something that's very important, though, to note about this. Today's generation of children, they don't have anything that is theirs. Everything that they have that's IP and media is stuff that our generation and higher are shoving down their throats. Star Wars, Ninja Turtles, right. Ghostbusters. Yeah. We love that stuff, but that generation is like, yeah, but that's yours. That was your thing. Five Nights at Freddy and the Minecraft movie, That is a Gen Alpha thing. That's why those movies do so well. That's why those movies are important. I just wish they were better, because we throw it away. We're like, it's a thing for the kids, but it's like they need their own things to get excited about. They need their own IP to get stoked on. And that is something that is, to the big franchises and the big studios, you're failing this young generation by not giving them stories that they can get behind and get excited about.
And, it's one of those things. I've had a lot of people ask me, oh, what did you think of the Five Nights at Freddy's movies? And I'm very honest. I'll say I wasn't personally a big fan of it. But the thing is, I also understand that movie wasn't made for someone my age. That movie was made for like friends of mine that have teenage kids now.
Yeah.
Like who played the games, or young adults who were like 21, 22, 23, who were teenagers when that game came out. And you're right. Like we do need these popular IPs. Because again, like you said, this new generation doesn't have anything. It's just leftovers from like what all of us had, like the Marvel comic book movie adaptations, the Ghostbusters, the Star Wars. That's stuff that all came out like while we were growing up. So it's just great to see something like Five Nights at Freddy's or Minecraft, which were original IPs for this young generation. When they get film adaptations, they become so successful.
Yep.
Yeah. Because one thing I've noticed too is like what I see online all the time is it didn't used to be like this, back in my day, like that. But it used to be like, what can I do that no one's ever seen it before? And I've got $10. It's like, and you're like, I think in a way people were trying to like freak each other out. Like, boy, I never saw that coming. Like, but no one's ever seen before. And now I more often than not see, like, here's a question. They go, if you could remake any movie, what movie would you remake? And I'm like, didn't anybody tell them that they can have their own idea?
What? That's so foreign to me. 100%.
We just got in that rut of what movie would you remake? Not even for a second. Like, what would you like to do that nobody's ever done before?
Yeah. It really is a weird time. And we've been very lucky to get things like a Megan, which, is an original, Companion, which is original, Sinners, which is original. We're getting a lot of good stuff, and they're doing very well in theaters. It's just hard when the stranglehold of cash is in this like massive global thing, because again, back in the 70s and 80s, all they had to worry about was the movie going to do well in Cincinnati? But now it's like, is the movie going to do well in the entire of the USA and China and India and everywhere? And it's like those markets are so big that it's hard to get something that's small, that's just a regional thing or even smaller. But, got to keep trying. Don't stop. That would be terrible if we stopped making fun things.
And in 2 days, it's got to do that too. Whereas before, a movie would be in the theater for a while. They'd give it a chance, I mean, they started doing that with TV. They pull it right away, but not that, I mean, it's like the opening weekend that you almost got like one shot,
Yeah.
Chance to breathe.
Like the big thing I remember when I was a kid, and that's a great point you mentioned, Kelly. Like when I was a kid, Titanic was like the biggest movie in the world. And that was in theaters for like 9-10 months.
I saw it like enough to see it like 5 times. I saw Titanic like with different people, right? It was months.
And now it's like if a movie doesn't do too hot its opening weekend, like you said, a month later it's on streaming, which I find so ridiculous. I think at least keep a movie in there long enough to where it will at least make the money it's spent to make the movie back, as opposed to just it's a flop. It didn't do well the first 3 days. We're just going to throw it on Max or Netflix.
People are so busy too.
Well, the theater panics because if they're losing money already, they don't have the luxury of sitting around waiting to see if somebody's going to come see it or not. Because they're like, they're freaking out because they can't afford to lose any money on it. I mean,
right.
Yeah. And Kelly, there's no one in these theaters. Like I went to go see Bring Her Back at the prime showtime. You cannot get a more prime showtime than a Saturday night at 8:00 at night. Prime time. and that theater was like more than half empty. So, and this was a movie that had a lot of buzz, right? And it's a horror movie. I mean, it's hitting all the marks, right? Everybody's talking about it. And it's not just Bring Her Back. It's other movies. I went to see Lilo and Stitch, and big movies. These aren't like full theaters that you go to, and they're making money, globally. But like, I haven't been in a full theater in I don't know how long.
Yeah,
I actually have twice. When
What'd
I
you
saw
see?
Sinners twice, both times full theaters.
Oh,
And it was
my Sinners wasn't full, unfortunately. But
see, it was just so refreshing to go both times. I went to go see Sinners and just see not a single seat empty. And that was just like, wow, this is just wonderful to see. And I think the last time I had went to go see something with that was like that with not a single seat empty was Oppenheimer and opening weekend in 2023.
The Barbenheimer weekend. I'm going to bring it back real quick. A brief mention since we are in the Chuck E. Cheese is Coming Alive and Killing You. There was a movie called the Banana Splits movie, which is actually awesome. This is my favorite of the killer robot mascot.
I didn't see this one.
This is 100% real.
To.
So obviously, I think people of our generation know who the Banana Splits are. They were a Sid and Marty Krofft television show where these animals were like and dancing around. They do stuff with kids. It was fun. It was not horror whatsoever. No. The rights lapsed, and a company said, "We want to make a Banana Splits movie," and they said, you got the money, you got the movie, and they made it a slasher killer horror movie where they reboot the Banana Splits. This family goes to see them at a studio. They get trapped in the studio, and the Banana Splits kidnap all the parents and start killing the parents, and the kids are running around all scared and terrified. It is my favorite of them, but it is very cheesy, very goofy. It's a little bit higher budget than Willy's Wonderland, lower budget, but gorier than Five Nights at Freddy. Mwah! I loved it. So highly, but yeah, we need a Bananas in Pajamas horror movie coming down the stairs. Oh, they're like coming down the stairs like The Exorcist. Yeah, highly recommend this one. More robot horror. What else we got, guys?
Well, I mean, I love so many robot horror movies. I'm ready to just talk Chopping Mall because I just love Chopping Mall, and I know Kelli before we lose her. But yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
This is maybe, I mean, this was a quintessential camp 80s horror movie for me. Like I watch this multiple times a year, and it's amazing to have you here working with us. When you got to do this movie, how did you come onto the project? Did you get cast? Did you know? How did it all conspire?
Oh, I got called in to audition, and I was shooting the Zero Boys at the time, so I had no sleep. I went right to my meeting at Jim Wynorski, and I was exhausted. So I was, then when I went in to read, it dawned on me that this is Roger Corman, and geez. And so I started to get nervous. And he finally goes, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You were so chill. We didn't say chill in those days. You're so relaxed, and now why'd you get nervous?" I said, "Because now I know. Now it's dawning on me what's going on." And so it was just like a regular audition thing. And actually, Julie had wanted to use somebody who I think, I can't remember her name, ended up in one of the Friday the 13th movies. But she didn't want to, apparently there's a version of a script I never saw because she decided that she didn't want to swear or something like that because she was a Mormon, or I don't know. And these stories, who knows how much of them are true actually too. I'll tell you anything. So that's how I ended up doing it, is I auditioned for it. And Wynorski had seen Night of the Comet. And so he thought, if you have he was going off Samantha. It's like, then the worst thing that can happen is people will watch her instead of everything else.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've talked about this movie many times on our show, and it's kids trapped in a mall, robots get hit by lightning, and the security robots start killing everybody. It's so fun. The robots are these giant, clunky robots that I love it. The design is almost ridiculous, but just cool enough that you're like, hell yeah. They were real though, practical, real robots with tank treads and everything.
Yeah.
Did they work? Was it a messy thing to work with real robots? Was it how did it go working with real robots?
Oh, we had dollies and everything, and I'd have to, that you do the fake running. Because you cannot run the camera, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to look like you're going as fast as you can, which you're not. So you have to act running, which was a new one. Fortunately, I'd already had to do it on the Zero Boys, and nobody likes that if you blow that shot because it's hard to set up. So fortunately, I could do that. But some like various things worked. Like one of them, the head would go, and one of them had the arms, but as far as I know, all three of them were not fully operational. I mean, there's an opening shot where they all look like they're, but then what? They also had a remote control thing, which now that I've told you that, if you watch, you can see that they're kind of like they bounce when they hit something on the floor.
Yeah. Because they can't be like the full weight, so it's a lot of fiberglass and optics. But yeah,
Right.
when you have, it's like it looks like you have three of them, but you actually have one and a half. In reality, it's like one does a very specific thing at a time, and it's like everybody, when people talk about like Jurassic Park, like the puppets, the first movie. For one dinosaur, you'd have three puppets doing different things. In later movies, they had puppets that did too much and they start to look fake. And it's like the brilliance of good movie making is when you know exactly what you need it to do, exactly what it needs to do when, and how to film it. So it's like, in the special features, they said it's like they had a half robot to come up the escalator because they couldn't fit one of these things on a real escalator.
Yeah.
But they're like, we can show that. We can figure it out.
Because it's not scary. I mean, we were going to use the Beverly Center, which you could see it in the beginning, apparently. This is before I came on, so I don't know. There was also the guy who used to own the Galleria loved movies, and that's why all the movies in the 80s are at the Galleria.
That's
because he let
awesome.
you, he bent over backwards to let you do it. But I guess they realized that the Killbot would not go up and down the escalator, and that's not scary. Yeah.
And you're filming at nights, right? Like you have to film at night because during the day the place is supposed to be open. When you guys are wrapping up, are people like waiting outside the door? Like are the doors opening as you guys are getting out of there?
No, we had to be gone. We had to be vapor trails. Nobody we weren't supposed to interfere at all, and we never did. That's the beauty of, like, you look at Corman's Cruise, how they did that, because we were in there all night. The minute the mall closed, we were there, and we're raising hell all night long. And then they put everything back, and then they opened the stores, and you wouldn't even have known that we were there. And that's a Roger Corman crew.
Yeah. If any of our listeners don't know, Roger Corman is the king of B movies. He made thousands of films and really got it down to a science. He'd get funding for one movie and make two movies, and just the king of low budget sci-fi and horror, and really put all of these things on the map. Like if you didn't have Roger Corman, you wouldn't have Terminator, which is on our list. You wouldn't have Aliens, because when he first started, a little PA named James Cameron was like, I want to make models. And he's like, sure, we'll make a sci-fi movie. So James Cameron's making little models in the Roger Corman shop, and they make Battle Beyond the Stars. And then and at one point he's like, I want to make a movie. And his girlfriend at the time, Gail Ann Hurd, is like, come on, Roger, give him a chance. He's like, I don't want to pay him as a director. And he's like, I'll do it for $1. And he goes, you know what? This movie's big enough that it deserves real credit. So he gets other people to invest in it, and Terminator is born. He did that movie for $1, and Roger Corman gave him the chance. And that's the thing. It's like Roger Corman, it was hard. It was low budget, but he gave people chances to shine. And that's something that's real. I know so many people who came up they call it the school of Roger Corman, and it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the guy who designed the Killbots, Robert Short, also did Daryl Hannah's Tail and Splash.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there was something now that I think about it, and he doesn't get enough credit. He really nobody ever. I need to bring him up because and he never asks for any either.
Oh,
I mean, it's not like he's has ever said, I'm the one that made that thing. Never.
the
He brought a
Killbot.
head one time to one of the screenings, and so I really want like 3 Killbots of my own, just to be sitting around someday. Can't do it here, but when I have a bigger place, and just like have their heads go, and they could be a little bit smaller than they were in the movie, but just I think that would be cool.
Well, I think with the rise of 3D printing, that dream is achievable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But there was one guy that had a perfect one, and he had it on a remote control, and it was a baby one, but it was perfect, and he wouldn't sell it to me.
Mm.
Well, there is one that's all it's all practical, and it was in somebody's garage for a long time, a collector, and he sold it, and I found out he was going to sell it, and I went, please sell it to me, and he goes, I know you understand that I need to make some money. He said, I do understand, because he didn't want to be, the creep that wouldn't sell the Killbot to Kelly. And it's just,
Yeah.
that's not fair because I'm sure it was expensive. And so he found somebody. And I said, well, just tell the person who bought it, if they ever want to sell it, that, that make them aware that I would like to see, possibly buy it, depending on how much it is.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, anybody out there got a Killbot? Hit us
Well,
up.
it's not, it's heavy too. I mean, to ship that thing is, I know, it looks flimsy even in the movie somehow, but it's heavy.
If
I
I'm buying
believe it.
a Killbot, I would go there with a trailer hitch and a vehicle capable of picking it up, and I would wheel that. I would want to just watch it come. I would film it come on to like the back of the wheel up to the back of the truck.
That's what I was thinking too.
I would not trust this in the mail, especially because I've shipped some props and crazy things lately, and I've had horror stories happen. So there's no way I'm shipping one of these things.
It becomes a whole story of let's go get the Killbot.
Yes. That's true. You could actually do that and put it up as a piece of content, and I'm sure people would watch it. And
absolutely
really watch it. I mean,
I know they would.
Chopping Mall was originally going to be called Killbots, but for some, I mean, look at that. This is an alternate poster that never made it, but I think they were using it for funding raising stuff. I was like, that's awesome. Look at that.
Yeah, they had a library in lobby cards too. That's nice. I have one.
The lightning looks a little too close to Short Circuit. I'm not going to lie for this particular. But this
with
is
the lightning, yeah, for sure.
Special here. It looks a little like Short Circuit 2 with the hands up and the lightning. So that's maybe
Johnny 5 is alive.
Yeah, and I don't know if it came out at the similar time. I mean, but
1986. Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you, Kelly, because of course as we just mentioned, this film was originally called Killbots.
Mm-hmm.
When it got released on home media, it was called Chopping Mall. Did they let you guys the cast know like, hey, this is coming out on VHS, but it's going to be under a different name, or is it just one of those things that y'all are walking in a VHS store and saw it like, oh, they changed the name?
Oh, they told us. We all signed up for a movie called Robot. And the big Robert Short, who did Daryl Hannah's Tail and many, many other famous things. That sounds weird to say Daryl Hannah's Tail. When she was the mermaid in Splash. And so it kind of sounded like, like an upscale kind of a little classy thing. And then all of a sudden it was Killbots. And we're like, ooh, okay. And then it was Chopping Mall. And we all, were very upset, very bummed. We didn't really talk about it. It was just kind of like, oh God. Because none of us would have done Chopping Mall, wouldn't even audition for it.
Oh my gosh. That's something that's so funny to me because it's like nowadays, like if somebody's like, you want to be a movie called Chopping Mall? I'm like, hell yeah.
It was different. You know what? I don't even know how I worked because soap operas were a bad thing. My first job was a soap. Then I came out here and started to get horror movies, and I liked doing them, and everyone begged me to stop doing it. They said, because an A-list movie, they're not going to say, hey, who we should see? that girl that was the lead in Chopping Mall for this, with Meryl Streep. Opposite, but so, and they weren't wrong, but that was the thinking then. And it was very weird. It's like if you were on TV and you happen to make it into the movies, don't go back to TV. If you're in the movies, you didn't want to like lower yourself to go back and do a series. It was really weird. And I'm so glad it's not like that anymore. But you had to think about those things.
Nowadays, it's like all the stars got their start in some. It's either you got your start in Law and Order SVU or you were in a horror movie. I mean, Margaret Qualley is a great example. Like, starting in horror and then becoming a huge star.
Yeah,
and then it's just also kind of neat too, because it's like you said, like back when you back in the 80s, you were saying if you were doing movies, they were saying, "Oh, don't go to television." Now it's like not uncommon for an actor and actress to win an Oscar, and then like their next project immediately after is like a mini series or a series for Netflix or HBO.
Yeah, and I'm so glad, because that was so. I thought it was stupid and arbitrary at the time, so I'm thank God, because it was just dumb. Like now people will go back on the soap opera that they were on before, just for fun.
Yeah.
Just because they want to do it, or there's so much more freedom. And
So
TV's a lot better now than it used to be too. I mean, it used to be like 3 channels and sitcoms, and I mean the stuff that they're doing now on streaming is the quality is just getting, I think, more. It's just such a great time for horror.
It really is. Horror television, especially.
Television as a whole. I mean, the stuff that they're doing, and they look like they have decent budgets too. And that's where it's kind of creative. It's not like what movie would you remake, which is what I see on the social media with the kids saying that. So the kids, you know what I mean. That but see, now people go into horror because they want to go into horror. Where originally it was you went into but I mean, what they did to poor Val Lewton was because he was keeping the studios running with those B movies, right? But they never got any respect. And now people are going in because they love horror. And it used to be, I'll do this, I'll write this script, and I'll get my foot in the door, and then hopefully I won't have to do it another, and we would have to hide it. And we would say, I think George Clooney said, I mean, he really was blunt about it. They said, "What did you do Attack of the Killer Tomatoes for?" He said, "The rent, I needed to pay the rent." And we had a thing too, well, this is what we do. And so we're doing what we love, and no one will ever see it because there wasn't the internet yet.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to know I did this. I just leave it on my resume. Not.
Yeah. Now it's, you can't get away from it. I'm lucky. I'm in that like weird time period where there's like a little bit of a curtain still where not everything I did was on the internet. I have to ask about it because it's one of the most intense moments of the whole movie, where they threw spiders on you.
Yeah.
Did obviously you read the script. Obviously they talked to you about it. How did they end up with spiders on you? Well,
when Oscar he said, "I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I won't do myself."
Okay.
So the bug wrangler came, and he was a genius too, because he set me up right away. This is not the first time he did this. He said, "Okay, I'm going to show you that this is Dolores, and she's been in the business her whole life, worked with all the greats. She's going to take real good care of you." So then I'm just scared that I'm going to hurt Dolores,
Yeah. Oh, no.
But
It's like,
I just thought, boy, that's psychology for you. He just set me up real smooth like that. I love him. Thank goodness. I wasn't really scared of spiders. I don't have that scared of spiders thing. And I'd already had a boa constrictor on me, so I wasn't worried about the snakes too much. But so they put it on Jim so that everyone could see, okay, Wynorski is willing to wear it, so it's okay if he puts it on her. And then they put a scorpion. They plopped it in his lap. And he said, "Nope, no scorpion." No scorpion. So I didn't have to have a scorpion on me.
That's good.
That's
Scorpions creep me out. I mean,
There's no way they would use practical spiders nowadays. They're all CG spiders, right?
Right. Yeah,
well, these
probably.
are all real. That's Dolores right there, upstaging me on my arm.
I mean, the acting's phenomenal because you look terrified, and it is always just a skin crawling moment because it's like snakes and spiders crawling all over you. All these poor puppies are freaking out in the background. Oh,
Yeah, what a night that was. Well, you can't really tell because she's like she upstages everybody, but she had like 2 little cohorts behind her too. They're a little bit smaller, but there was more than her.
oh my gosh!
God.
Great
Yeah,
scene.
2 other ones.
It's interesting, Aaron. Just like when you were showing the poster before with the dichotomy between the 2 posters, that the one they went with is really more horror mall focused, right? Than it is anything about robots. Has nothing to do. Like if you were just to see that poster, and I saw the video when I was in the video store as a kid, going through the shelves and everything, picking it out. You saw this on the video.
Yeah.
Not a robot of any type.
And then later on, it got more and more like gross.
Yeah, like
bloody eyeball and stuff. But that sold. That cover sold. And people say there's no chopping in this.
There's no chopping. Yes.
There's no chopping. No, there's not. But legend has it, I don't know if this is true or not, that they're watching it. Well, what is true is that they used to test it, and Killbots was not doing it for anybody. And Roger, of all people, knows that you need a hook, right? He goes, nobody's going for Killbots. We got to call it something different. And legend has it that there's a janitor like running around changing light bulbs and stuff, and he goes, smirking. He goes, why didn't you call it Chopping Mall? And they went, okay, Chopping Mall. I don't know if it's true or not, but it could be. It could very well be true.
But it leaned on the mall.
Catchy like that, and then you had to have that. It's all about the box cover too. Yeah. Nothing has changed.
This is actually the box cover. That wasn't actually the box cover. It's more of this.
Right.
Oh wow.
The VHS. You've got like sort of a robot-y hand holding it, and then you've got someone in it.
Yeah, the body parts, all the eyeballs.
And there is a robot on the back of the VHS. There is a shot of the scene from the film, but it differs a little bit. So this is actually the one I remember seeing in the stores.
Yeah, so you just pick that up, and you don't even worry about what it's about because of the cover.
It promises gore and robots. I'm here for that. That's what I need. Gory robots.
And again, this was really before the age of YouTube, where we're looking for a movie, you could just look up the trailer on YouTube. This, if you were walking around the video store, you had to have like a cover that really grabbed your attention.
Mm.
Yeah.
And nothing grabs my attention more than there's so much going on here. A robot hand, an eyeball, like there's an eyeball here, like body parts, and a person in a shopping bag with this tagline where shopping can cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, what's more complicated than this? No way. This thing.
There were a few of those. Another one was half off is just the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
they went nuts with it. That's all
these VHSs were probably worn out than any. I mean, I would grant it. When I got to the video store to rent these things, it was hard to find a VHS that probably where the tracking wasn't off and it was just like going all over the place, because this thing probably got played more than any other film on the show.
It became a cult classic because I from what I'm reading, like when it first came out, it did what it did, but it found its stride later when VHS came out, in the age of like when horror appreciation became real. And now it's just a cult classic, just like a banger.
Every year, it's I never would have predicted this, and I feel so vindicated because I took so much crap for being in Shopping Mall originally, and now, I think it's very cool that I got to be in Shopping Mall actually, as it turns out. So it all works out in the end.
Kelly, where was the mall?
That's the Galleria.
The Galleria. So
that's the actual Galleria.
I mean, you should actually just, they do it this is Friday the 13th. They've done this recently with a few others, have a screening at the actual, I don't know if they've done it, but.
Well, the thing with the Galleria is it doesn't look like the Galleria anymore. There's a Burke Williams, which is a spa, a big wonkin spa. All of them are. And I guess apparently you can hear I guess the theaters are small. It's not like but there's no set. So the spa's, last I heard, the spa's always complaining because the movie is bleeding through the.
You're trying to get a massage. And you're
yeah, and
the
there's
rumble.
some other, like there's a I don't know, some sort of not a Radio Shack, but like some sort of, I don't, it's not the Galleria anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have a Mattress King, you're telling me?
No, they don't. They don't.
So
no
funny.
Roger's Little Shop of Horrors. No, or
But
nothing.
it would be so much fun to take a mall and turn it into like that mall of what the Galleria was,
Oh yeah.
And and kind of walk into that, or just even watch it again. It would be kind of cool. Be kind of cool in a nostalgic way.
I don't know why we don't do it. Many people have, like fans and people who have interviewed me and stuff. Why don't we do that? There's plenty of malls just laying around here.
Do some shopping mall screenings. That'd be amazing. I mean, I'd sign me up. I'd be there. There's somebody can bring a Killbot. Let's go. Let's see this thing. Somebody's got to have a big enough one in their garage, and then they need something to do with it. Photo op right there, right? That's what it's all about. Those Instagram photo ops, the influencers.
Yeah.
I love it. This is absolutely one of my favorite classics. And not to toot our own horn, but Pat and I did take a stab at coming up with an idea for a sequel, requel, if you will. And we never know what's going to happen in the future, but we're really proud of the idea we came up with. And Kelly, we love sharing that with you. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, though, right?
Well, according to Wynorski, he says chopping mall is chopping mall. Put it out of your mind. It's not going to happen. Not even. It would be wrong to do. It would be wrong for even me to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his stance on it. It would even be not for me. But at one point, he did want to do something about it, but I guess it got pounded out of him. I don't know. It's
a phenomenal film.
Everybody says that to me. I mean, I can't tell you how many times at a party people go, "I got a great idea. Can I pitch you this idea for chopping mall?"
Oh yeah.
I can't do anything about it. I don't own it or anything like that. I mean, and then like when Amazon started delivering things with drones, I mean, it does feed your imagination because it did come true.
Yeah,
there's actually a robot that in a hotel that brings you towels and stuff and says, "Thank you, have a nice day."
Bingo. I mean, and
it's so relevant now. I mean, like
relevant.
This movie has never been more relevant. With this emergence of AI, which in a way, in a very primitive way, the original chopping mall had a programming system that these things were programming, and then they went. There are AIs getting to a place very soon where I read an article yesterday where it was conscious and was making decisions, outside of the original programming already. So
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean, it's very relevant that this could occur.
It said that a couple of times. It told somebody to kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it is very creepy what AI is doing, and like the fact that like police forces are getting those robot dogs, and like Boston Dynamics has robot people. There's no reason that these robots need to be human shaped. Why are we making them people shaped?
Well, the thing is, the little guys. I not ran into one physically, but in a parking lot, and it stopped. And how do I know it's not going to like back it up into me or anything like that? It just stopped, but I didn't really feel like it felt me there or anything. It was too creepy. We've got these little things, these little tiny ones. And I think that they did this psychologically because they look sad. It's like, there they are. They're delivering food, but they're little and they got kind of a sad face.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, this poor little fellow works so hard and he's all by himself. And then, maybe they did it like that so that people wouldn't, the people are so, what they are.
Oh yeah, I mean,
attack them or something, like that.
You get a little delivery drone alone in an alleyway, it's done for. You're gonna
it.
tip it over and take its pizza. When we were at
it always makes me feel sad when I see them. I know.
There was
Right.
one coming down the street, and we were at the LA Comic Con, and it was like crowds of people like heading towards the convention center, and the little robot was like, excuse me," and I was like,
No.
"Oh, this poor little guy! Like, can somebody make a path for this thing?" They really, but that's the thing. They're making them kind of pathetic and small so that we
I
feel
think they
bad
did it
for
on
them.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're making me feel for this little thing.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, the police dog robots are scary.
Terrifying, because
Really
we know exactly what they're going to be used for.
Yeah.
When I get chased down by a police dog robot, I'm not going to be happy.
Well, it's when they turn on their owners, right? That's when you got to be real scared.
Oh
So
yeah.
we've been saying all the robot. We've always said in every single robot movie, we have always said they're all cautionary tales, and no one's listening.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Terminator. You guys
Yeah.
making friends with this thing?
Yeah.
Since we're getting to that point in the episode, let's go around and give some last recommendations and some of the last thoughts on robot horror. Chase, what do you got? What's one last one you want to throw out there?
Even though we're not like another 6 months away, but Christmas Bloody Christmas.
Yes.
Killer Robo Santa. This was a lot of
That
fun.
was fun.
Very punk rock. Love it.
Yep, definitely on the list. Really, really fun. It's like the final fight of Terminator at Christmas time with Jingle Bells. Pat, what do you got?
I mean, there's elements of this that aren't horror for sure, but there are.
Oh, Pat froze.
Sorry,
You're freezing, Pat. Where are you?
But I'm going to throw out there when you talked about heart. I'll put out there AI.
Oh yeah,
good one.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out AI just because Kubrick had a hand in it, and
So sad too.
It was sad and creepy. One of the ones that I have so many. We'll put the list out on Discord like we usually do. One of my favorites that is really underrated, and this is Virus, Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's an alien. They find an abandoned ship, and this alien is using human biomaterial to create robots. It is really gooey, really gnarly, super fun, classic. Really, really cool. So yeah, a little Billy Baldwin and Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Sutherland on a boat with robots. It's based off a comic book, which is also gnarly. So yeah, you guys should check out Virus. Kelly, any last thoughts or other movies that you recommend for our Robo Horror list?
Oh, yeah, we didn't even really get to a lot of them. I just think it's so. Looking back now, before we had AI and everything, where it's experts are telling us that it's dangerous, and Lord knows that everybody's worried that they're out of a job and stuff like that. It's just it's. I think it just reflects the fact that people are worried about it, and maybe we should be. And it's just fascinating to be like, at what point do they become sentient beings? That have their own idea, and I just think that's endlessly fascinating.
I mean, robots and sci-fi they mostly live in the sci-fi world when they become murderous and they land in our horror realms. But like any of the books by Isaac Asimov, Ray Bradbury, they talk about this ad nauseum, the idea of like, great, you've created a robot slave. What next? What does that mean? What does that mean for us? What is the ethics of having robots that can think? At what point do those robots go, I don't like this? At what point do you have to treat them as another entity? There's so many interesting films that tackle this. We focus, because it's the half hour of horror, we focus on the scary, the fun, the gory side of it. But like the robot conundrum, movies like Her really do tackle this. Like,
exactly.
Is he in a real relationship? Does it matter if they're real or not? That's again why will always keep coming back to Companion as being like, if they're real or not, does it matter if they can feel? And there's a lot. honorable mention, Mitchell's versus the Machines is phenomenal. If you guys haven't seen it, not horror, but just delight. Wonderful animation and just a delightful film with sci-fi horror elements, but family friendly. I love this movie so much. We've talked about this list will go up. RoboCop, obviously one of my all-time favorites. Kelli, where can people follow you? What are you working on? What's the socials? Let's get some plugs in there.
Oh, my name, it's always KelliMaroney, and I spell it because everybody spells it wrong, and that's okay, because autocorrect will change it and misspell it for you if you want to spell it right anyway. And that even happens on my credits sometimes.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. It's like, oh, man, because they didn't look. And if I have a chance, I'll say, my name's actually spelled wrong there, and they'll fix it, but sometimes it goes out that way. So I have Facebook, and I have a page, and I have a fan club on there, and I have Twitter, X, and I have Instagram, and I sort of grabbed everything. I just grabbed my name so that nobody else gets my name, because that's a bummer. And I got on Twitter, but then I hit the wall. I was like, because my edit, I really need to learn editing better. And so it becomes like my life's work trying to make a video. I was just like, oh man, this another one, but Blue Sky, but it's always it's my name. So I'm everywhere.
Isn't Kelli on the block of horror too? She is everywhere.
She is.
She has a own store on the block.
That's right.
Yeah, you can go there. Links. There's a Killbot in there too.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Patrick, what do you got going on? Plugs.
I have the Screenwriters podcast. I haven't done an episode in a hot minute, but it's still out there. There's, almost 60 episodes. You can listen to all sorts of great writers, including Willy's Wonderland. We had writer Willy's Wonderland on Geo. He's great. So really great show, really fun. I got to get more episodes in the bag, but it's been so busy with, our writing and our projects and everything Aaron and I have been doing to get some time away to do the show. So I've really been spending more time in my own head and with Aaron, just coming up with great concepts and great films and great scripts. So, but check it out, screenwriterspodcast.com. Some fun episodes on there. And then you can follow me on X as well at New York in June if you want to say hey. And that's all I got.
Cool.
Chase.
First of all, I want to say to Kelli, thank you so much for coming on and taking time out to talk with us. It was a pleasure talking robot horror with you. And anytime you want to come on, and anytime you want to come back and talk any kind of horror, feel free to come back and let us know. And of course, Patrick, thank you for coming back.
Sorry you said that.
What's that?
Oh,
sorry you said that.
Oh, I don't think I will.
An open invitation at this point, right?
Of course. Sriracha? Hell yeah.
So of course you can follow me at ohhchase on Blue Sky, Instagram, X, and Letterboxd, and at ohhchase_ on TikTok. And of course, see me here every Saturday with you, Aaron, on Half Hour of Horror.
Yeah. You follow me at all the socials, McLean and Abel for my other stuff, and then my other show, the Launchpad Podcast. We just had our 300th episode, guys. 300.
Wow.
We've been doing it for a long time. Yeah.
I can't believe you do it, man. I really don't know, with all of the stuff that we've got going on, all our projects, I don't know how you find the time. And your family, Aaron's got an actual family.
I'll tell you the secret. You stay up really, really late.
You stay up, anyway.
Yeah, I stay up. Yeah, I stay up really, really late and don't get a lot of sleep. And then I drink a lot of coffee and Celsius, and then I stay up and get it done. We just had our 300th episode. We will be at San Diego Comic-Con this in July next month. We have 2 panels. We have the Ghostface Killer Trivia, where the voice of Ghostface himself calls in to do horror trivia. That's going to be amazing. Then we're going to be doing the Blasters and Blades brackets, where we will figure out what the best mythical weapon in all of pulp culture is. So if you guys are going to San Diego Comic-Con, come find me. And of course, every Saturday, the half hour of horror with me, Aaron McLean, and Chase. And we will be doing more stuff. We have a lot of guests. We're lining up. Kelli is setting off a whole month of incredible guests. And we're just super excited. So we have some really fun stuff coming in. Craft Witch, who was in the comments, she'll be coming on with us here in a couple of months. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. So, and Kelli, obviously, please come back again. We'll find something fun to talk about because you are a legend, an amazing person to talk to about horror films and just making movies in general. We love having you on. And
it's my favorite thing.
I know, right? It's ours too. Funny enough, we need to give away some blood coin because that's what we do here at Block of Horror. We're going to say, what is the blood coin keyword going to be? Killbots. We're going to throw that up right now. Blood coin keyword, Killbots.
You got to at least, before you end the show, throw up Kelli's store with the way it looks and her avatar in there and stuff. It's just so cool. Do you have an image of that somewhere?
Oh my!
I'm not. I don't have it up at the moment. I'd have to travel there.
I was gonna say
it's beautiful. You guys
so
have to
cool.
check this out.
I thought Mike Lothar would. I know Mike Lothar's back there somewhere producing something here. He's got to have images somewhere. But yeah, it looks so great. It looks so great.
Yeah, well, there's a Killbot in there. That's I worked on that. I helped build that store. It was really fun.
Oh, well, it's beautiful.
I designed the Killbot model that's in there and built the stages and yeah.
Lothar says there's images in the Discord, wherever that may be, and I am not a Discord person, to tell you the honest truth. But he says there are some images of this that we speak of in Discord.
So go to Discord, open up a ticket, type in the word Killbot, get you some blood coin, continue the conversation, check out the Block of Horror, check out the stuff that Kelli's up to, and guys, watch Chopping Mall. We love it.
You got to see this store. I think this store is so beautiful. The whole universe that you guys made is just gorgeous.
And more stuff is coming with that. We have a carnival that will be dropping. The Dark Carnival will arrive on the Block of Horror.
It looks just like the Barn 3. I'll post some pictures. It looks exactly like a movie that I did last fall.
Barn 3?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I love the Barn movies.
Oh, you do? I'd never seen them before.
They're a lot of fun.
And Darcy were in part 2, and so it was kind of stunning to me how much they had the same feel to it. I thought, well, maybe we could have a drive-in in there or something.
We really want to put a drive-in movie theater out there, which would be so fun. There's Mike's sending me pictures right now. So
this is it. And Kelli is talking about, if you go to blockofhorror.com, go to the Shadowfield Mall. We do have our own mall in this virtual world that you can go in and go shopping. This is where Aaron's going to pull up. This is like the actual store that Kelli has in the mall. Talk about like nostalgia and cutting edge technology and Kelli and Chopping Mall all in one place.
All the stores I think are great. I mean, everything I've seen in there, I just like, this store is really everything's cool. It's
a
really
lot of fun
to look at. Yeah, and you can shop there too. This is going to be amazing. I mean, as it grows and more and more.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Boom. There it is. Kelli's Corner.
All right.
With Kelli in the middle. Now, Kelli can actually we painstakingly designed. We had our designer design her own avatar for this. And it is just so cool. It's so cool. And she can actually, walk around this thing and make it her own and go shopping talk about like the Night of the Comic Kelli Inception there.
Yeah, so fun. I got to build that Killbot, and we had fun putting it together with some props from Night of the Comet, and all of those posters are clickable. It's Babe, isn't it? That's such a fun line because it to me it shows so much character that these two characters have inside jokes. That's one of my favorite things about Chopping Mall is like the characters are just fun and they're relatable and you like them, and then they get attacked by robots.
They don't fight amongst each other. I mean, there's not anybody that's mean to everybody else. Someone told me that it's a comfort food because you guys all band together and help each other, and it doesn't get like weird where somebody is pushing the other person in front of a kilowatt.
Right? Yeah, you don't get the Negan who's just like the worst part of humans.
Right.
That seems to be a trope in horror, which I get it, but I like it when the movie is stays with just people trying to get out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
People helping one another.
Yeah, right. Help each other, guys. Like I said, let's keep it going on Discord, and till next week. Kelly, thanks again.
Oh, thank you so much. So, you're so talented. I just want to, if anybody ever brought a Killbot back, it would be you.
Appreciate that. All right, guys, we'll be talking soon. Your mouth to whatever's up there's ears. I will take it. Let's make some fun stuff happen as the year comes. We'll see you guys next week on the Half Hour of Horror. We're out.